What is going on, herd? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in to another one. Today we're going to be returning back to the Does It Rally series with the Blista Kanjo. Or the Kanjo. Comment question of the video, is it Kanjo like a banjo or Kanjo like the Ganjo? So as you can see, this vehicle's seen a bit different days since the old Hector Fast and the Furious inspiration build. Well, I did record most of this episode and realized that I should just wait a little bit because we got new tracks. As you guys know, I utilize the new tracks that I use for content and then I release them. And once I release content, then I usually replace it with new unreleased content, something that I can do that doesn't drifts, that doesn't rallies, things like that. Well, it's been a long time since we've had some new rally tracks, so I put some time to it this past week. We got 3 brand new rally tracks. They will not be released for a while, not until we plan to have a rally event on Xbox One. I'm going to run through the build here, but PS4 we have an event coming up over there as well. I have 2 tracks I've been working on. One is a very intricate track, something I think a lot of you guys will look forward to seeing, and the other one's just kind of something basic, kind of fun, just to have 2 separate tracks. And nothing too crazy, but still something fun. Bumpers on this thing I kept exactly the same. The doors, all this stuff is pretty much the same. We did put the livery on there. I think I may have changed the hood. I don't even think I changed the hood. Spoiler's the same. We did throw some different wheels on there. Of course, we're running some tuner wheels. And we took the tint off. That was the other thing. But all in all, it's really the same dang thing that we had under the, where we just built the vehicle as the Hector vehicle. Just kind of wanted to bring it in here, show you guys the build, the generals of it. And without further ado, I'm ready. Let's head to the new track. Oh, neons on the rally build. I just didn't want to take the neons off because this vehicle is not going to stay a rally build. So I asked you guys in one of the recent videos, what would you rather see more of on the channel, some rally racing or some drag racing? And it was pretty overwhelming that you guys wanted to see more rally racing. So without further ado, we got 3 new tracks that you will be seeing more of as we move forward with this series. Now these tracks are nothing like the last tracks that we put together. Those last tracks were built, gosh, 2, maybe 3 years ago. It's been quite some time nonetheless, and well, it was time for some new tracks, and I wanted to make these more difficult. So we kind of incorporated in the new Nitro Circus style of rallycross racing with a little bit more motocross, as you'll see as we move forward. And there's some places where, you know, if the car ain't cut up for it, it ain't gonna make her through. So without further ado, let's get right into this one. This one is the Yellow Jack Open. Now, spoiler alert, I have brought this vehicle here and she struggles right here in this section. That's supposed to be a jump where we can clear this whole thing. We'll shoot her as soon as I get a little bit more warmed up here, but long story short, this car is it's a bit of a struggler when it comes down to it. We'll make this one just fine. So these tracks, these new rally tracks, they're all developed around the creation on a stock Omnis. So a stock Omnis, I figured, you know, when it comes to upgrading a vehicle for rally base, that should be pretty basic on where you're trying to get to, at least generally. Of course, the Omnis might handle a bit different or might accelerate slightly different, but when it all comes down to it, that competitive range. And, well, there's us sending it. We come just shy of that jump. So this thing is just short of a stock Omnis when it comes to it. At least on that jump. There's a lot of other issues with this vehicle too when it comes to making it a rally vehicle. Well, for one, it's front wheel drive. I know some people say, well, that's the best for... It's not my style, for one. I'm obviously going to go with all-wheel drive if I have the preference, and there really isn't any limitations or anything like that when you go rally racing in GTA 5 Online. So when it comes to picking a car like this, and that's going over the main fact that this is also a compact car. This is not in the sports class. Not sports classics, it's a compact car. We're going to go off the quick side, but again, we come short and we send her. Now, off-road, it doesn't do too bad. It really doesn't have much of a traction loss. I always say traction loss, but speed loss is what I meant there. It doesn't have much of an off-road speed loss, if any. It may have some. I don't really dig into each car and dig into every little intricate aspect. I usually just do this off feeling. So if there is a slight off-road speed loss, it's not much. We made it! Son of a gun, we made her! It does have it in it after all. So yeah, leaning away from the car and getting into the track just for a quick moment. These tracks are a lot shorter than the last ones. Are we going to make this one too? Oh! We may have had a chance if I would have dipped that nose forward, but I don't know. Carnage nonetheless. The tracks are a lot shorter. It's going to make for a lot higher laps, but they're a lot more difficult and it's monotonous. It's the same thing over and over and over. Very repetitive. And well, that leaves some rooms for mistakes, and these tracks are also designed to, unfortunately, where the checkpoints are and where you can get sucked into holes and get stuck, It's going to make you respawn, and when you have to respawn, it's going to set you back. And when you get set back, you really get set back because it's only 35-second laps. So this is going to be an interesting series when it comes out. These tracks will be here to stay as well. Goodness. They will be here to stay as well. We're just going to be adding on to this series. So as we add more tracks in, we'll do less and less laps on each track, and we'll make a playlist out of them when they all come, and we'll start kind of, oh my goodness, terrible lap here. So this is an example. We got stuck here. Now there's no way for me to get back over to that jump. You notice, if I go back, there's no way. If I go over here, there's no way. We're stuck, so we have to do a respawn. But now it puts us right here, and we're not going to be able to knock it out. So we're going to be going against the grain here for a second. Backwards, see if we'll make her just up to the top of the platform. We did, thankfully. And we're off. So long story short, summing it up and getting back to the car, I really look forward to these tracks. You guys should be looking forward to seeing the rest of them too, because I will say one thing and end it here. This may be a difficult track, but they each get more and more difficult as we move forward. With that said, guys, let's get back to the Kanjo here as I'm... Oh, Jesus. That was not meant to happen. I'm having a lot of problems here on this jump particularly. To sum it up before we get into grading this thing, since I don't really need much more practice time or test time, I did bring this to this track already. I've gotten in about 10 or 12 laps already, and I had a good time, but I've had the same old struggles with it. Actually, the first time that I made that jump back there, that's the first time I've made it, plain and simple. Oh, let's turn on the HUD for you guys so you can see lap times. I kind of want to see how we're doing for lap times. Of course, the lap times will change slightly based on whatever track you're going to. But for example, the second track I think is 40 seconds, 39 seconds is what I was running, so it's very, very similar length to this one. This was a 34.5 in the Sultan RS, so it looks like we're going to run about a 39, about 40 seconds, about 40, oh goodness. Well, let's get right into this, guys. We judge it on 3 separate aspects. First off is going to be the handling line, the steering, the basics of it, the tippiness. How does it handle in general? I will say tippiness, to get that out of the way, she's not tippy at all. She's a very good vehicle. With the short wheelbase, with the just being a small vehicle in general, you kind of worry about the tippiness, especially in GTA logic. But again, it's not bad at all. It really is. It's maneuverable. Let's just say that. Can we get this one? No. So yeah, this isn't the most tippy of tracks here by far, but you kind of notice it when you go off certain jumps and whatnot. It doesn't want to tip. It really is. It's relatively planted. But when it comes to handling, I have to go and point my finger at the front wheel drive. That's my biggest complaint. Now, of course, this is a real world front wheel drive vehicle, so I'm not complaining that they made the car front wheel drive. I'm just personally saying I don't really like front wheel drive vehicle handling lines in this game. I'm not a huge fan of it. Never really have been. I don't think I ever really will be. Do I like this car? Yes. Is this car going to stay in my garage? Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Here's another example of getting stuck outside the lines. I'm going to respawn. Is it staying in my garage? Yeah, it's staying in my garage. It'll always be there, in the tuner garage, but it's not going to be in the rally garage. That's for dang sure. So steering is the next thing that comes in line, and that's due to the front wheel drive. I guess the big way of summing up the steering for me is when you accelerate and you're coming off these turns at a certain RPM, it doesn't want to turn the best. I don't notice it hardly at all on this track, but I notice it on the more tight-knit tracks, on a lot of the tight corners, like this one up here, for example. I mean, we got brakes in this thing. Oh, Jesus. That burnout is really, I think, what kills us in some of those corners, specifically that one that comes up to the jump, because right there, you've seen it. It's all those burnouts. Let's go back there, because the game is actually keeping them rendered in. These aren't burnouts from skidding out left to right. These are burnouts coming off that corner and spinning out from getting back on the accelerator. Coming out of here with speed. It's laying down a burnout. Now, if the car would just hook up, which is why a lot of people in the real world put really big, huge slicks in the front, like that stick out the side, because they need that traction. Well, the game just doesn't allow us to get that kind of tuning in. We made her again? No, we did not. I think I could have made that one again, though. Long story short, this car has some issues when it comes to the handling for a rally car. If you're just talking about going out and rice caking around and having a fun time out in free mode, this car's fine, but When it comes to the basics of what you're going to be looking for rallying, it's not the best. It is a compact car, and there's not much in the compact class. I think the Prairie is one of the very few cars I can think of. Prairie is also front-wheel drive. I think it would be very interesting to have a Prairie versus Blista compact. We should check the Prairie out in the future. Does it rally on the Prairie? I know I have one already. Not what this video is about, though, damn it. Handling line, when it comes to handling, guys, I got to give it a 6.5, right? It's a D plus D, solid D for sure. It could be a lot better, but it could be a lot worse. That's for sure. If it didn't have that, the burnout is what I'm talking about. The main. Oh, this car is close to getting it on the close, but yet so far. If it didn't have that burnout when you're taking off and it was more planted, this car would get up and go a little bit quicker, and it would allow you to go into those short corners. And a lot of what this rally circuit here is kind of meant around is getting your acceleration and taking back off. 6.5 is good. I was going to give it a 7, but I don't think it completely deserves a C. I think it is in the Ds. For rallying, that is. Again, specifically for rallying. The slowing down, all that stuff, it's not up to par of where I would want a vehicle to be. Man, it's so close to making that. 6.5 on the handling, that's going to bring us into Jesus. What it is going to take us into is the speed category. Again, not straight line speed, not speed on compared to the fastest cars in the game. No glitches used, just based on what's given to us and how it handles here as a rally vehicle. The speed off-road is good compared to what it is on-road. The car on-road, of course, it's speedy, it's fun. Again, if you're trying to go into free mode and have some fun in free mode, I don't see why you can't go have some fun doing some street racing and stuff, but most of the sports cars are going to blow you out of the water on the asphalt, and just because you have a next to zero speed loss off-road in this vehicle. I say next to because I don't know if it surely is a 0 off-road speed loss, but it feels like it. Doesn't feel like I'm losing much speed off-road. The deal is even with the speed loss, it's not going that quick on the asphalt. Something like the Kuruma, $100,000 vehicle, that's going to put you away. Something like the Sultan RS, a $12,000 vehicle, is going to be right on your door, keeping right up with you. I mean, that's going to bring us more into cost aspect, but the speed in general, again, I'm going to have to go with a 7 on this thing. I think it could be a lot, well, I know it could be a lot better. I'm seeing it struggle like hell on this corner here. Speed, again, I'm going to give this thing a 6.5 on speed. That corner back there with that jump, it's struggling almost every single time. I've made it once, and it was like a perfect turn coming out of that corner. So, I mean, this one's easy, but it's meant to be a very easy jump back there. This is meant to be a pretty easy track when it comes down to it. But again, as I said earlier, I added in some motocross antics, kind of, where sometimes you've got to get around a corner and pin it, and you got to hit that jump. As you notice, there's 2 different lips on that jump over here. There's 2 different lips, and I've been trying to take it off this one. Oh, we might make this one. We made her. A lot of you are wondering why I'm lowering the nose there, because if the car bounces off that corner, it screws you up so bad. So I kind of lower the nose and try to fall into it. Again, kind of like a motocross style of a thing. So a 6.5, that brings us into cost. I'm going to go off the top of my head and say what I remember, but I believe it's a $580,000 car. Christ. I was going to say $580,000, a $430 trade price. Let's look it up, because I know people will be flipping out. I was almost right. It's a $580,000 car, $130,000 trade-in price. So I will give this one thing. When I thought, oh, okay, the EK is coming out, this is going to be a super cheap real-world car that's going to go for mega bucks in the damn game. And, well, when it released, it didn't. It didn't go for mega bucks. It released for $600,000, which, yeah, that's crazy, but you got to remember GTA Online inflation it's nutty. $580,000 is pretty good, and if you do all the missions and you do that finale and you use the Kanjo, whatever you're saying, $435,000 is pretty dirt cheap for this vehicle. So the cost is where it's actually going to get a better grade. But then again, you're getting this, and this is hundreds of thousands of dollars more than the Kuruma, hundreds of thousands of dollars more than the Sultan RS. And you're getting a similar or even worse handling line than you would with both of those vehicles. Of course, both of those other vehicles have their problems too, but when it all comes down to it, I'm just going to give this thing a 7 on the cost. So we come to a conclusion, a 6.5 and a 6.5. and a 7. So it's 13 and 7. We're looking at 20 out of 30. If you guys enjoy this series, make sure you leave a like below, subscribe to the channel, and support it. I appreciate you supporting it in whatever way you're doing. Liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing the videos if you're sharing the videos. As always, guys, hope you all stay happy out there. Please stay positive, and we will definitely speak to you next time.